Hey, hey, hey. Thanks again for pressing play. Welcome once again to another edition of the Suns Jam Session podcast. And in this corner, managing editor, Bright Side of the Sun, myself, John Voida. And in this corner, contributor of Bright Side of the Sun, co-host of Suns Jam Session podcast, Matthew Lissy.
Should we do some height and weights on those things too? 6'4", I think probably 245. I have no idea right now.
270 right now, I think. I've been watching that Vince McMahon documentary on Netflix.
Oh,
that
is it good?
Produced. It's good. I mean, you're a wrestling fan.
Yeah,
I have an admission to make, and I was going to surprise you with this next time I saw you. Although next time I see you will be Monday, so I won't have it by then. But just watching it, there's one thing I realized. I never had a Austin 316 shirt, so I bought one. Because I loved Stone Cold Steve Austin, man.
Wait, you're going to wear it to Media Day on Monday?
No. It's not going to be here in time. So if I didn't see you Monday, the next time I would have saw you, I would have been walking around just dun 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 dun.
You're just going to shatter some glass every time.
And that's the bottom line.
So two things. I definitely want to see that.
Watch it.
Shout out
6
to my
hours.
girlfriend, Nicole. I want her to watch it with me. But also I saw something like on, I don't know if it was Instagram or what, about, I think it was maybe from the Ringer. No, Ringer created it. It was some kind of review on it saying just don't waste your time on it. But I'm like, no,
from the WWE.
It might be because I've been patiently waiting for this thing, dude. I love like the raw drama behind all the craziness that is the WWF, WWE. Like that's always exciting to me. There was a second thing I wanted to say. Oh yeah, growing up with the Rock posters, I think I had 10 Rock posters in my room. Now that I'm thinking about it, like, dude, that's kind of weird. Like,
he's like just always
with
watching
his shirt
you
off. Yeah, he's always like flexing, just a different shirt. He just always had a different like button down shirt. It's standing there with his nipples out. I'm like, all right, I don't know if I would do that ever again in my life.
Yeah, I had like Tiffany Amber Thiessen up in my room.
Yeah, I just had half naked wrestler dudes in my room, man.
Well, it's definitely a doc worth watching if you're a wrestling fan. And it takes me back to the Attitude Era, which is like right when I was really into wrestling, and I joined the military, left, and then everything fell apart. So they lost their demographic, which is me. But our demographic is you, if you happen to be watching or listening. So thank you for doing so. Thanks for hanging out with the Suns Jam Session podcast. It's all almost here. It's all almost here. The start of the new season is just around the corner. So we have plenty to talk about as it pertains to new roster signings, some lineup information. We're going to play a little game of Would You Rather, but we'll kick off the show talking about Al McCoy, obviously somebody who meant just everything to this organization and passed away at the age of 91 years old this past weekend. So we'll kick off the podcast with a little bit of our thoughts on that. Crack them if you got them, Suns fans, for Al McCoy. And let's drop the beat. Right, Jamsters. The Phoenix Suns community lost an absolute legend this past weekend. Al McCoy, 1933 to 2024. And that little hyphen that exists between those two numbers was full of passion, caring, kindness, and some of the most descriptive words and the perfect tone to describe Phoenix Suns basketball for 51 years. He started, in Iowa, from the cornfields in Iowa on a farm, just listening to transistor radio, making his way to Phoenix after college, calling Phoenix Firebird games. There was Phoenix Giants back then. Stayed here with the missus, ultimately got the job with the Suns, and changed the way that this team was presented to this fan base for 5 decades. So it brings me to my first question.
Matthew, I've got to ask.
Matthew, I got to ask. Al McCoy. What's your favorite Al McCoy moment?
Honestly, it's a bunch of them, but I think the most memorizing part of like just listening to him and car rides was when I was an Ultimate fan during the Nash era, and I think it was like one of those times where you can't miss a game. I had to watch every game, and if I wasn't, I was driving somewhere, I was pissed off, but then also I was relaxed by the voice of Al McCoy talking about just waiting to hear if the Suns are winning or not. So that was always a great time. But the one part of this whole thing is gaining media access and getting to hang out with everyone in the media room and going to games. It's just you got to meet him. Obviously, I just think like just meeting him would have been really nice. I think it's one of those things where you see a lot of these players and it's cool. It's cool to see him, but there's like those one players like LeBron when you see him like, oh crap, like you're starstruck for a little bit, right? So I think just seeing Al McCoy, if that was possible, probably would have been one of those things. So I feel like I kind of missed out on that. But the best moment, I think it's just all those moments of listening to him on the car ride, dude. It's just a bunch of them.
Well, and that's what it is for so many members of this fan base. Obviously, there's specific moments in time. There's the Rex Chapman 3 call, the Shazams, the shot heard around the world with Gar Heard back in 1976, which obviously predates us. But it's the constant and consistent soundtrack to Phoenix Suns basketball for so long. And you mentioned when you go to the media center at the Footprint Center, it's the Al McCoy Media Center. His face is there, as you're walking through the banquet line to get your hot dog at halftime. Al McCoy's a bunch of quotes and pictures are depicted behind you. And although he was small in stature, what he meant to this fan base is very unique. And, I've told the story before, and I'll tell it again. And for those of you who've listened to the podcast for quite some time, you might remember Game 6 of the 2023 semifinal round. It was the last game of the season. And I came to you live from the Footprint Center because I went to that game as a fan. I didn't go in any media capacity. This is pre-credentials for both you and I. And I remember showing up to that arena early, as I like to do when it comes to games, right? I mean, my mom and I are legendary for going to Diamondback games like 3 hours before they start, just like eat some food, hang out, just kind of taking the environment around you. And as I was taking around, I had an 805 in my hand, and I was up in the second deck because that's where my seats were. And I'm watching the drum. You can hear the drum line kind of going through the stadium and watching some shoot around. And I looked over towards media row, and there was Al McCoy just sitting by himself. And I was like, you know what? This potentially could be his last game ever. And I had a feeling in my stomach that it was, because we were outmatched in that series. Kevin Durant had come over to Phoenix, but had decimated our wing depth. The Nuggets were en route to a championship. So after I had one full 805 that cost me probably 25 fucking bucks, I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going down there. And I went down there and I said hi to him. And I was like, hey, Mr. McCoy, I just want to thank you for everything that you've done for Phoenix and what you've meant to this fan base. And, I shook his small little hand, and he let me take a selfie with him. And it was probably insignificant to him. It's the final broadcast he ever had as a member of the media for the Phoenix Suns. And he was probably so focused on what he needed to do, but he still took time out of his day to say hi to some random guy. He doesn't know me from Adam. He thinks I'm probably just some drunk guy, and I probably was a little bit, just coming up and saying hi to him. But you talk about moments, and I think that when Al McCoy passed this past weekend, it's something that I'm sure you can relate to, and a lot of different Suns fans can relate to, because we all have that special and unique relationship with Al. It's the voice that my father introduced me to as a Suns fan. And I felt this same way when Vince Scully passed away. Obviously, you guys know I'm a Dodgers fan, and Vince Scully was the best there fucking was. And my dad introduced me to Vince Scully and the Dodgers, and Al McCoy and the Phoenix Suns. And when they both passed, I kind of felt a loss. It hit me a little differently because I lost a little bit of that connectivity to my pops, right? This is the guy who he listened to for as long as he did, and he introduced me to him. And now, he's no longer a part of our lives. And there's going to be a whole generation of Suns fans who are going to say the words Shazam and might not have that same connectivity that we had to it. And it's sad. It's a time for mourning. It's a time to reflect on what he meant to this team and this organization. But Al was 91 years old, man. He lived a great life, didn't he?
Yeah, it's a full life. And he was very consistent, like you said. Even his last game sounded like the first, to me, that I heard. Not his first in his career, but the first that I heard. Very accurate, very fast-paced, but also just letting you know exactly what's going on the floor, which is just insane at that age. But it is a full life, and it just, it teaches everyone too in life, just stay consistent, whatever you're doing, right? We never won the championship. We always hope so. We wanted to do it for Al last year. Of course, we'll probably do it again this year. # do it for Al. But it just teaches everyone to kind of stick with it, win or lose. Even if you're never going to win the championship, you stick with what you're going to do in your life, have some passion in it. And that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, day in and day out for 91 years. So shout out to Arizona Sports for this little clip they put together of Al McCoy. Those of you watching can see it, and if you hear it, I mean, you're going to hear that beautiful voice.
It's been a great ride.
2 seconds, 1 second, it's over, and the Suns have done it. And the Suns will be playing for all the marbles. The Phoenix Suns are on their way to the NBA World Championship.
The Suns are going to the NBA Finals.
I just want to take this opportunity to thank you for what you did and contributed to this organization.
Nash puts up a shot. It's good. Steve Nash. Booker protecting the ball. Wants to break loose. Here's the drive. Here's the shot. He got it. He got it. The shot is good. The game is over. Off the glass and in. It is up. Good. 70 points. Absolutely fantastic, and these basketball fans are responding.
Out to Booker. 5 seconds, 4 seconds. Booker on the drive. Goes up. Here's the shot. He got it. He got it. And the Suns win the game.
Crowder waiting with it. Lobs it underneath.
Yes!
It's good. DeAndre Ayton scores the basket over the rim and in. Cam Johnson pushes it up. Drives down the right side. Keeps coming. Goes in for a wham, bam, slam. A Cam slam. Johnson, but it's a loose ball. Chris Paul has it. Lobs it. And it's grabbed underneath by Bridges, and he jams it through. Over on the left side. Doncic's down there to defend him. Paul gets in underneath and scores. And I think he's fouled. He is the CP3 we all know and love. So let's go. Shazam!
Somebody else has to have as much fun as I've had.
And from the Footprint Center here in downtown Phoenix, we'll just say so long for now.
Al McCoy, man, one of a kind. And one thing that's interesting, I don't know, that always hits me, man. Good old Al.
Yeah, I think the one thing that's really interesting to me, just really quick while you collect yourself there, I think that Devin Booker just being on the scene late in his career, I feel like it's just kind of parallel careers in a way. I know they're different careers, but they just kind of collect themselves in the same way, right? They go about life the same way, very cool, calm, and collected, very chill people. They're very passionate about what they do. There's never any drama around any of it. Al McCoy was just so consistent, just like Booker. Like, I just felt like they were almost like the same person. Obviously different ages, different backgrounds, but they just kind of reminded me of the same person.
But such respect and care for the game and responsible stewards for Phoenix Suns basketball. That's where their parallels truly lie, is how they care for this city. They care for this organization. They care for us fans and always have. And, again, we lost a great one when Al McCoy passed away this past weekend. And at the same time, one thing that I found kind of interesting is 2024, right? Al McCoy passes away. It's the same year as Dave King. I bet you if you ever told Dave, it's like, did you know that you were going to pass away the same year as Al McCoy? He probably never would have believed you. So, I mean, at least in our little bubble and world, we lost a couple really good people. But this is a reminder, Dave King's bright side night is going to go on. We have everything locked down with the Phoenix Suns. I've been working with them this summer. We're ahead of the game. Probably further ahead than Dave was at this point in the season. He's all hyped up, getting ready for the season. He'd always start messing with bright side night around Thanksgiving. I got it dialed in, ready to go. So for those of you who are interested in donating to Dave King's bright side night, again, a reminder, this is an opportunity to send underprivileged kids to a Phoenix Suns game. That Phoenix Suns game will be January 9th against the Atlanta Hawks. And if you follow the link in the description below, It will take you to the portal that will give you an opportunity to donate, and it doesn't take much. $15 sends one kid. I was doing math on it today. $15 is one steak, egg, and cheese breakfast burrito from Filiberto's. It's 2 pumpkin spiced frappuccinos. It's 3.5 gallons of gas. But if you like to, $15 will send one kid to that game against the Hawks. If you donate, starting at $30, if you donate in $15 increments between 2 and 9, you're going to send either between 2 and 9 kids to the game, and you're also going to receive exclusive discounts for future Suns games. If you want to send, $150 sends 10 kids, you're going to send those kids. You're also going to get 2 upper level tickets to a Suns game this season. And you're also going to get a Dave King's Brightside Night T-shirt. And there's another package where if you starting at $375, if you send 25 kids, you're going to get 2 lower level tickets. And if you do over 50, you're also going to get 2 lower level tickets. You just donate more. And the first 25 donations over 10, sending over 10 kids, so starting at $150, you're also going to get to participate in that exclusive pregame Q&A session with the Suns front office executive. I'll be emceeing that. I can't reveal who it is yet because we don't really know. But again, if you donate and you send over 10 kids, you're also going to get a chance to get that Brightside Night T-shirt. This is a John Voida design. I think this is my 4th or 5th year that I've designed these. So those of you who are watching, you can see I've got a picture of it up on the screen of what that looks like. So it's an opportunity to remember one of the things that Dave King was unbelievably passionate about is giving back to the community and honoring and remembering his memory by doing so. And at the same time, affecting, somebody who might not have an opportunity to ever go to a Suns game, to let them go and feel that energy. It's like I said, I got to the game 2 hours early just to sit there and watch and feel and absorb. These kids get to do that. And everyone who's listened to this, what it's like to go to your first basketball game. You never forget it. So you can provide that experience simply by donating $15. And Brightside Night's a good time, right, Matthew?
Oh, it's a blessed time. I think that was the best time I had last year. And it was honestly one of those things too. Like, you want to get these kids there to the games right now, and the team's actually really good.
Yeah.
With an owner like back in the day when he was doing this. I mean, those games are like halfway full, right?
Yeah.
but now it's all sold out. The energy is always great wherever you're sitting.
Yeah. So an opportunity to give back to the community. That's all I got to say about that. Until next episode, and over again until I beat into your head, everybody. We got some Suns news to talk about before we get into our Would You Rather. We have a recent addition that you might know. That's right. Frank Kaminsky got a training camp invite for the Phoenix Suns. Now, obviously, this is a roster that's chock full. We do have one open roster spot, but he, obviously from 2019 to 2022, he's with the Suns. He's on that NBA Finals team. He appeared in 95 games with the Suns, and he averaged 8.2 points, 4.3 rebounds, and 1.8 assists in his 17.6 minutes played. He gets one of those Exhibit 10 contracts they're giving out to a bunch of people who they want to attend training camp. So he has an opportunity to compete for that roster spot as a reserve stretch big. So thoughts on Frank the Tank potentially coming back to Phoenix?
I think it's awesome just because he was such a fan favorite. I mean, I don't think it's going to turn into anything crazy, but I think it's an absolute brilliant idea to bring this guy in, where I think he is kind of like a good locker room guy. I mean, he came up with the Mikal Bridges, Cameron Johnson era where there was always a lot of fun stuff going on and off the court before the games, all that dancing stuff. So he was a part of that. He wasn't dancing, but he was definitely one of the goofier guys there. But he was in Serbia last year, right? Playing. Mm-hmm. Now he has a chance to come back, try to earn a spot in the NBA roster. I think it's a good story for him, definitely. And it's good for the franchise to have his name back. It's nothing bad or good. I just think it's interesting to have Frank Kaminsky back because I think he was just a huge fan favorite. And the name is just funny to even talk about. Frank Kaminsky, Frank the Tank coming back.
Frank the Tank, again, like you said, there's a connectivity to. I've said connectivity like 7 times in this podcast. I need to pull out the old thesaurus here. But he was on that finals team, and obviously anybody who's on that finals team is going to be revered by the fan base. I know in 2031 they're going to do a 10-year anniversary thing at the arena, and you'll feel all nostalgic and shit. And Frank will be there. So will he make the team? We don't know. Will he? Could he be a contributor? I don't know. But if he does make the team, if he is that final spot that they fill, I'm all for it because he kind of meets what we need. A stretch 5, a guy who's got some shooting ability from the outside, a guy who is big. It's the last thing we really need. We're very guard heavy with this roster this year. Yeah. So I'm not opposed to having him at least have an opportunity to play. It's going to be fun. It's going to make training camp fun. It's going to make preseason fun. And maybe it doesn't work out. Maybe he doesn't make it to the big squad. Do you know what would be great for Frank Kaminsky is if the Suns retain him, throw him down there at the Valley Suns, and have Oso Ighodaro learn from him. Because I could see that as a potential conduit of growth and development for Oso, because you have somebody who needs to understand a little bit more of how to play the outside stretch game, and Frank could teach him that.
Yeah, he's been in the league long enough, and like you said, that finals run teaches him a lot that he can just kind of shed off to the younger guys. But if this were to happen where the Suns were not a title contender, like it'd be like, oh, come on. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I never like bringing back, and we always talk about this. I never like bringing back the old coaches, the old players to be coaches or anything like that. I don't want any of that. But in this situation where the team is like kind of set, we have that squad already ready to go next year, and we're really excited about who we have. Then it's just a fun addition to have just to see how it works in summer and training camp.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's definitely something for us to keep our eyes on. And you did it, Suns. You got us interested in the last guy you signed or to give a training camp invite.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm all for it.
Actually, I just saw it today. Did it happen today, though?
It happened yesterday. Okay. He was officially signed today. But it came through yesterday. Okay. And he talked with Gerald Bourguet of PHNX and said how much he loves the Valley and he's so comfortable being back here. And you got to think, back when Frank the Tank was around, I mean, do you remember the video that he was doing to kind of stay in shape during the pandemic of him working out
in the backyard with the pool and stuff? Like he was laying down in the start.
Who's the cat that won't cop out when there's danger all about?
Frank. Right on.
Wait, is that the new drop?
No, that was his drop back in the day, but it copyrights the show, so I only played it once ever.
I don't remember that one at all. I don't remember. No. I was probably drunk all the time. I don't remember during that run.
It was so long ago.
I do love the Stone Cold, the full 360 right there, dude. Just you're talking about Stone Cold, and he's man, it's meant to be, man.
Frank Austin, Frank 316 says, "I'm back.
I'm back."
Well, we also have some news coming from Mike Budenholzer.
Play fast, play random, play together, play in great space. Let's go play some basketball, have some fun.
Budenholzer, Budenholzer, Budenholzer.
All right, I'm not going to play the whole thing.
I was ready to go take a little tinkle. I saw that loading line on the bottom. I'm like, oh, it's a long version still.
It's the 45-second version. So Mike Budenholzer was on with Steve Ashenburner from NBA.com and going over some insight on this team and what's upcoming and a few of the takeaways. Play fast is something that he said over and over again is that's the goal of this team is to play fast. And it brings me to a question for Matthew.
You know what time it is.
Trivia time.
So play fast. What just on a total rank of first in the league to 30th in the league last year, where did the Suns land relative to pace?
16th.
Good guess. 15th. They were dead in the middle. And 16th is right there too. They're just an average team when it came to pace last year. And so Budenholzer's talking about playing fast and how that's going to benefit the Suns. What are your thoughts on the Suns being a better pace of play team?
I mean, I like it. I think it's going to be one of those things that they have to do to excel, right? There's many things this team has to do to really kind of blossom and be who they truly are, right? Just a dominant offensive team. To pick up the pace makes it even better. And I think they have the right guys to do that with too. I mean, they have those point guards right now with Tyus Jones, and we'll talk about the starting lineup too that he announced. But to have those guys to facilitate, just make sure the ball's not turning over, then that helps with the pace because the ball was turning over so much where it just kind of like hurt this team's mind, right? They just were in their head so much about where to move the ball around, then it caused more turnovers. So they don't have that, I feel like, this year. So you want the pace. I don't think it won't be as fast as maybe the Steve Nash era back in the day, but it's going to be a lot better than last year. And last year just kind of sucked, man.
Yeah, hindsight, the pace in which Phoenix played last year was part of the issue that they had because they became predictable. One, they didn't have a primary facilitator. So that alone allowed for some predictability. And because they didn't play with a great pace, they would get stuck. There'd be isolations. Those isolations would get doubled. Kevin Durant's getting doubled. He throws it away. Booker gets doubled. He throws it away. And it's late in the shot. It's 7 seconds left on the shot clock. So not playing with any pace was detrimental to their success. Not having a facilitator was detrimental to their success. So I like at least, and we're in that time of year, right? With Suns Media Day, which we'll talk about a little bit later upcoming. This is when they're going to tell us all the shit that we want to hear, right? Like, well, the team needs to play with pace. Yeah, no shit, they need to play with pace. Let's actually fucking see it. But I'm just glad that they recognize, or Mike Budenholzer recognizes, that this is a deficiency that this team had last year. And if you want to get the best out of these players, playing with pace versus playing in a half-court set all the goddamn time is going to be better for their overall outcome as an offensive team. The other thing I like about playing with pace is it's going to allow us to compete with some of those younger teams if we're properly conditioned, because that was one of our biggest frustrations last year, wasn't it? When we played against like the Rockets and we played against the Spurs and Oklahoma City, those teams just ran us out of the arena because we weren't properly conditioned for it. And when they got us in the half-court set, we became predictable, and then we would turn the ball over, and it was an instant basket every time for the opposition. So if you're going to attack this with a little bit more pace of play, you're going to put pressure on the defense, and I'm all about that. Offensively, the goal should be put pressure on the defense. Make them think. That's why when you talk about in football motion, right, there's teams that don't utilize a lot of motion, and you go, why? You're forcing somebody out there to make a decision. And when the opposing team has 11 guys out there, if you can make one guy overthink something and take advantage of it, that's where you win. It's the same in basketball. If you're forcing the pace, if you're putting defenders in situations where they're gambling, you can take advantage of that. If you're running a fast break and you're going towards the interior, and all of a sudden a guy fades off of his assignment to try to stop you from getting an easy two, and you hit it out to KD and he's got a wide open three, you're winning that possession. So pace is something that I'm really excited to see this team play with. Again, I want to see it. Don't just tell me it.
Yeah, and I think Booker too last year, he wasn't really running downhill too much. I feel like we kind of missed out on him getting to the rim. We saw that 2 years ago where he would get to the rim, draw the foul. He was really good at that. Sometimes you kind of worry about the injury, but I kind of miss him doing that. Yeah, Bradley Beal too, who's really good at getting to the basket, and he just needs a little bit of that jump to get there, right? We can't really play the ISO ball anymore, but if you get the ball moving and get them downhill, then these guys are going to be kind of dangerous. And I think last year too, they kind of just rested on the idea that, hey, we're veterans. Like we'll figure this out, right? I feel like that was always a plan every game. It's like we have the better squad, we have the better names on this team. I don't care how young this team is that we're playing, but that came to bite them in the ass every time last year. So I think they'll get over that. And I love the fact that we're going to have some excitement, man. I just remember being in that arena all the time where it's just kind of dull.
Yes.
Like, what the fuck's going on, dude? Like, so much frustration. It wasn't even just the turnovers.
But
it was just such a dead atmosphere. And you had the defense, all that shit. It's like, it was all fake. So let's get like real crowd in there, man.
I really hope they turn down the speakers in the arena this year.
They had to. I think enough people talked about it.
I hope so. I hope that Ishbia listened to that one. Another thing that Budenholzer talked about was the starting five, and he fortified what Tyus Jones had said when he was acquired and signed as a free agent, that he would be the starting point guard. Coach Bud said it's going to be Tyus Jones, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, Yusuf Nurkic. Thoughts on that starting five?
No, I like it. It's exactly what I think we kind of predicted. I think there's another way we want to go, maybe towards midseason or something that we'll talk about a little bit later in the podcast. But you got to start that way. You signed Tyus Jones, and we're all very excited because he is a true point guard this team needs. Not too great, like not fucking fantastic, but a perfect guard. Maybe a better Mario Chalmers in a way with the Miami Heat back in the day. Where
that's a good comparison. Right? That's what you need.
Yeah, it's exactly what you need. It's not like something sexy, but then you have your other three guys on the floor that
and they are sexy.
Very sexy. And a guy in Bradley Beal, who I think was ranked 69th in the NBA now. It's like, that's it's a great. I don't know if he gave him some money for that one or something. Just land at 69. He's like, if you're gonna rank me terribly, just put me at 69. But he has a lot to prove, right? So he honestly, I think it's gonna hurt him the most, just being like, if he's not gonna be the ball handler, because he's gonna want to prove himself a little bit more. But he's gonna benefit so much off of this lineup, especially with Nurk too, who's able to move the ball.
No, I mean, I looked at Basketball Reference, and what percentage of Bradley Beal's time last season did he play point guard?
Oh, I don't know. Like, was it 12%?
There's 2%.
2%?
2%. So Devin Booker was like 95% of the time was playing point. So
Really?
I'm glad. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm glad that we're going to have a starting point guard to run this team properly. Now, granted, we are going to be what is a quote unquote undersized team because Booker's going to have to play the 3 because Bradley Beal is not going to be able to play the 3. Booker's bigger, and Booker does have some experience doing this, obviously coming off the Olympic run where he was the glue guy, which is another thing that Mike Budenholzer mentioned with NBA.com. And I'm not a fan of Booker playing out of position. But at the same time, knowing that we have that facilitator out there is going to be so key to the success to this team. Yeah. But I will fortify this with the same thing that I always say. It's not about who you start with. It's about who you fucking finish with. And again, we'll talk about that a little bit later. Anything else from what Bud said, finding a hybrid of what fits the team's style of play is something that he wants to focus on, and essentially what he means by that is volume of threes, drop defense, etc. Obviously promising things to hear at the front of the season, but I don't think that there's any head coach out there who's saying things negative about his team right now.
No, right now it's all positive, and we can say, oh, this is a player's coach. I can't wait to see this. It'll be totally different from a guy like Frank Vogel that wanted to control things on his end and not give in to what the players wanted. But things might change. Who knows? That's just how it sounds. So he's sounding good right now. I love it.
Right. All right, well, let's take a break real quick. For those of you who are listening, welcome back. Let's play a little game of Would You Rather, all right? So this is where, Matthew and I got together and we put a couple scenarios, connected scenarios in which we were talking about things, well, would you like this or this to happen this season? And I'll bat lead off, Matthew. I'll ask you this one. Would you rather Booker plays small forward with Beal in the starting lineup, or Booker plays the 2 and Beal comes off the bench? So obviously, coming off of the conversation we just had, Booker at the 3 with Beal in the lineup, or Booker at the 2 and Beal comes off the bench? Which would you rather?
So Beal off the bench. I think we both agree on this one, definitely. It's one of those things where you could start the way that they want to start this year with that starting 5, but I think it kind of has to mold a certain way to get these guys more touches. We love Beal coming off the bench because we think he can just be high-powered 6th man of the year candidate that at times it would be nice just to have him coming off the bench because there's just so much chaos from last year when the plays would kind of roll in, when they from tip, you're just like, what's going on? They can never figure it out, right? So I feel like it'd probably ease his mind, ease this team's mind a little bit if he came off the bench and ran with the second unit. And you can still do it, of course, with Tyrus Jones starting, and he would come in and play with, whoever we have going off the bench, where he can play a 2 guard still, right? He can play his position, handle the ball more if he wants to, but not have to play point. You have Monte Morris there to play with him, but that's my dream. I mean, you agree with me in somewhat, right?
So this goes kind of back to what I was saying earlier. It's not necessarily who you start with, it's who you finish with. And I think that, and I understand the argument that people are going to make about Bradley Beal being in the starting lineup. And this is something we're going to go back and forth on all season long, especially if the Suns struggle in first quarters. Now, granted, last year in first quarters, they were the 5th best team with a plus 117 in the NBA in the first. It was the 4th quarter where we fell apart. But you want an opportunity to jump on the competition. And I think that if you have Tyus Jones running the point, if you have Dev Booker playing his natural position, okay, I don't know any other organization that for 2 consecutive years is going to play their best player in his prime out of position. Last year it was point guard, 95% of the time. This year we're going to move him to the 3. The dude's a fucking shooting guard. Let him play shooting guard. And then at the 3, that's where you put either Royce O'Neal or Grayson Allen with Kevin Durant and Yusuf Nurkic. If that is the starting 5, and you run that for the first 5 to 7 minutes of the game. And then Bradley Beal can come in off the bench and either he can spell Booker or play alongside him between, if Booker wants to play the entire first quarter for the back end of that quarter and then play into the second, you're allowing the team to continually have a lethal shooting guard on the team and not asking Booker for an entire season or an entire half to play the three. Because the disadvantage of playing the three is the physical toll it's going to take on Devin Booker defensively and offensively. Devin Booker, as amazing as he is, as an elite shot maker that he is, as somebody who can score on all three levels, still has physical limitations. And the last thing that you want to do is have him have the opposing team sit there and go, oh, hey, we've got a three who could easily match up on him. Let's put him on him. He's got length. We're going to push him. We're going to force him to work hard on offense. We're going to force him to work hard on defense. We're going to tire his ass out. And it hurts him in the game, and it hurts him for the duration of the season. The back end of the game is a different story. If you're saying who's our closing five, and I don't know why people don't talk about closing five so as much as they talk about
so much more.
It does. That's when the game's fucking won. It's in the last 5 minutes. Who's your closing five? Well, then I say, then you go Tyus and Booker and Beal and KD and Nurkic. Like, that's a winning closing five. The starting five don't mean diddly fucking shit to me, but having Booker out of position does. And allowing, let's say that it's Royce O'Neal in that starting five instead of Beal. Mm-hmm. Now you have now you have Beal and Grayson Allen coming in off the bench and Monte Morris to run point. I mean, it's literally a perfect succession from lineup to lineup versus doing this, hey, Booker, we're going to have you play out of position for the first 6 minutes of the game. Beal's going to go sit down after 6 minutes. You're going to play the whole first quarter. But who knows where we're going to be at that 6 minute point in each game? Are we up? Are we down? Is he tired? We don't know. So that's why when I ask that question, would you rather have Beal come off the bench? Abso-fucking-lutely.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. It's like, is Beal just hitting a different part in his career, right? I think he has to understand that part of it, right? Where he had his run as a starter. He had his injuries. He's had his career that's been maybe undervalued in some way, but also like he's done well when he's on the court. He's been an all-star. I think that's the max that he can get to. He's a great contributor off the bench now. I just think that is exactly like, I just think that I might shed a little tear if I hear the fact that he's coming off the bench, because I would just love to see that.
How long have I been saying it?
I know.
Last year.
I know.
Ease him back in. Have him coming off the bench.
You said it when we had a drink with John Bloom. You brought it up then. That was like probably 2 weeks into the season, 3 weeks into the season. Yep. And we're like, what are you talking about, dude? So it's obvious. It's obvious. Yeah, I know, with my little mustache. It's obviously something we would all love to see, man, and it'll come to fruition, I hope.
The biggest issue that, and people say this whenever I mention this on Brightside, and I'll be writing another piece about everything I just said about the closing five matters more than the starting five. And I'm going to fortify this point again. Everybody's defense to this subject is you don't take a guy who's worth $50 million and put him on the bench to start the game. Why not?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. It matters if he's fucking playing at the end. He'll get 30 minutes a game.
Yeah.
Okay. What I'm saying is ease off of some of that initial pressure. Ease off that pressure wherever you can on Booker playing the three. We don't want this, one of them's playing the one of them's playing the two situation again, because quite simple, it didn't work last year. We have point guards now. Let's utilize those point guards effectively. All right, you go ahead and...
You want to do the next one?
Yeah, you do the next question. I'm going to go off camera because my wife's vacuuming and I can hear it.
Okay. All right, this next question goes out. It's starting with Devin Booker, and it goes out to all the Jamsters out there who really want to know about the offseason stuff. So Devin Booker, his little hot mama stuff off the court. Who's he dating? I don't know. What's going to happen? I haven't seen him with anybody. But right now, the question is, it's a stupid question. And I'm actually pissed I even wrote this on here, but I was a little drunk when I did it.
This is such a you question.
But it's so old. It's like, who cares anymore?
Yeah, that's my answer. Booker, get back with Kendall or stay away from the Kardashians.
Who cares? Let's just skip over this one. Who gives a fuck, dude? I couldn't think of anything else. I'm like, I don't know what to put here. So I have to go back.
Always end up on the relationship
2 years,
stuff.
1 year. Yeah, that's all I care about. Well, it affects these guys. So.
All right, well, here you go. Would you rather see more time played this season by Ryan Dunn or Oso Ighodaro, our rookies? Which one do you want to see more of this year and why?
Do you want to go first, or you want me to?
Yeah, I'll bet lead off on this one. I think that we all are just intrigued by Ryan Dunn.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to see more time played by him this season because it means he's been successful enough on the offensive end to stay relevant, to stay in the game. Because I think that he could be, baby Matrix. He has the potential to be somebody who, due to his defensive capabilities, is a true game changer. But we're so unsure of his offensive skill set, and we don't know how often we're going to have an opportunity to see it because this is a team that's in win now mode. And I have to remind Suns fans that both of these guys, Ryan Dunn and Oso Ighodaro, they might not be regular rotation guys. And we all collectively, you, me, every Jamster who's watching, every Jamster who's listening, we're getting ready to spend the next 6 months together. And we need to remember that whenever something goes wrong with the Suns, the answer to the problem isn't, well, if Ryan Dunn would have played, well, if Oso Ighodaro had gotten more minutes, maybe they would have won the game. That's not what the answer is. And when you have two very young guys who both need development, the best way to develop them isn't to put them in these high leverage situations on a team that is in win now mode and expect them to perform. The key is allow them opportunities here and there, sprinkled in sporadically, utilize your G League affiliate that you now possess, knowing that the timeline for Oso Ighodaro and Ryan Dunn is a season, 2 seasons out. This isn't the number 1 pick in the fucking NBA draft. This is the number 27th overall pick and the number 40th overall pick. They're going to have some development opportunities. They're not going to take advantage of those opportunities to our expectations consistently. I do hope that we do see, with all that said, I do hope that we do see Ryan Dunn a little bit more because his upside's higher.
Yeah, and it would be weird. I'm with you right there. I think that Ryan Dunn needs to see more time just because if he's not and Oso is, it's like, well, what's going on? How is Ryan not seeing it? Like, we would probably be a little bit more upset if that were to happen. And I think that
it means he's really shitty offensively.
Exactly. And like you pointed out with the draft, even the number 1, number 2 pick, 3 pick, the 5th pick of the NBA draft last year, it's hard to see these guys even developing in the first year anyways. Like, it was a really bad draft. So I know we're excited with the young guys, but Ryan Dunn defensively obviously will be a stud if his offense takes him off the court. Not a big deal in the first year. I think that's always one of the issues we think that he might have, and it's probably going to happen. It's nothing to panic about. But if Oso, maybe he is a gem, maybe he's just fantastic. Maybe he's like Blake Lively with the Dallas Mavericks. Maybe he's that good, or whatever his name is.
I'm like, Blake Lively. Isn't that like Ryan Reynolds'
it's
wife that
Lively
everybody
something.
hates right now? Derek Lively.
Derek Lively. If it's like Derek Lively, if he's like a gem like that, where he comes off the bench, can play center like that or something, even though he has a push shot and he earns minutes and they're kind of up there neck and neck, and maybe he has like maybe 50 more minutes earned, then I understand it. But it's going to be panic mode, I feel like, a little bit if Ryan is under Oso when it comes to the end of the year minutes.
Yeah, but that's another thing we have to be prepared for, Suns fans, is because of the lack of offensive development that might lie ahead for Ryan Dunn, or at least the offensive execution. Oso Ighodaro might be the one who can actually come in and contribute on both ends of the floor, so he might get more.
Ooh,
I would like to see.
both.
I am too, but I'm just preparing everybody that we always have this what's it called? It's the disease of more, right? Like, it's the disease of, well, if somebody else would have come in, everything would have been different, everything would have been okay, and we would have won the game. And yeah, it's gonna be the rookie who shot 30% from the field in college. Like, that would have won it for us.
I'm gonna shoot myself in the head if that happens. I'm so sick. Like, we're done. We should be past that. The Suns team needs to be
we never are
way better than that. I won't shoot
are.
myself in the head. I don't know why I said that. That's really rude.
Wow,
hopefully
that's
that
very
not
aggressive.
That
All right,
is.
what's the next would you rather? Let's get away from that one and go right.
Woo! All right. So anyways, would you rather Nurk play top of the key, shoot threes, move the ball, kind of like last year where they kind of wanted to be like a point guard, right? Who's a point guard? They said in training camp, and they were like, you, Nurk. You saw a lot of that shooting the threes. It looks like he is working on it in the offseason. There was like one video of him shooting threes, so everyone's very excited about it. So do you want to see more of that, moving the ball around, being a passer, or just being the bruiser down low, being a guy that's grabbing rebounds, getting second chance points? we had those games last year where he just had the 20-point plus rebounds towards the end of the year.
Oh yeah, like
He was
30
really,
rebounds in a game.
Yeah, he was just killing it down there. So I feel like now that we have that point guard situation kind of filled out, kind of ready to go this year, Nurk is a guy that can just get that big booty. Oh, hopefully he didn't lose that big booty. Hopefully there's no pancake
He's doing
ass
everything.
down
He's
there,
doing
dude.
everything he can.
I don't want to see no pancake ass down there, dude. I want that thing nice and rump, just moving these guys around and grabbing those boards. So I kind of want to see more of that.
So you're more in the.
I'm more of you just stay down low. You can set the picks if you want, but there's no real reason I feel like to have him have the ball in the top of the key anymore.
So what I find interesting about Nurk is if there's any world where he can develop a 3-point shot, he becomes a game changer on offense, in my opinion. Obviously, with Mike Budenholzer, that was kind of what he did with Brook Lopez. Now, Brook Lopez, for the front end of his career, was a horrible, horrible 3-point shooter. He didn't shoot threes, in fact. His last year in Brooklyn, he shot 14% from deep. He comes to the Milwaukee Bucks, and in the years in which he played for Mike Budenholzer, he ended up averaging, 5 three-point attempts a game. And he hit 34.4% of them. So that it's a stretch 5, right? Essentially, the question is, do you want him to be a stretch 5 or just your traditional bruiser? On defense, I want him to be a bruiser. On offense, I don't mind the stretch 5 look because I think that it's going to open up so much. And with his intelligence and his passing ability, it's going to open up so much of our offense. Because if he is somebody who you can pull out the opposing center from the key, that's going to open up the space for Devin Booker to operate. Not necessarily Kevin Durant, although Kevin Durant can. He prefers the jumpers and doesn't really go for the physicality down low. Bradley Beal, when he's on the floor, he's unbelievable at creating his own shot and getting to the rim. Tyus Jones to penetrate and pop. And if he's a viable threat on the outside, that's really going to be helpful. So I think that offensively, I would like Yusuf, in a perfect world, Yusuf Nurkic becomes like Brook Lopez for us in a system where Mike Budenholzer would know how and what to do with that. Now, defensively, you do need him to be that bruiser, and he has that strength and that girth and that defensive rebound ability, which is something that's so valuable because that negates the second chance points. And I think that that's what's important for the Suns, is to negate those second chance points. So I kind of have a hybrid answer to what your would you rather was there, Matthew.
Unacceptable.
Oh, well, I tried.
I love your answer. It's beautiful.
I tried. Well, how about this one? Would you rather Grayson Allen is the Suns' 6th Man of the Year candidate or Royce O'Neal is?
I'm going to go Royce O'Neal. And the reason is, maybe you think like, well, Grayson Allen, did he fall off? No, I just think that it just means like maybe Grayson Allen's in the starting lineup with that unit. So I know you talked about earlier, you want Royce O'Neal maybe in there and have Bradley Beal coming off the bench with Grayson Allen. I still think that Grayson Allen has earned it last year to be in that starting role. But you would want the defense from Royce O'Neal. I see that. But just the shooting wise with Grayson Allen, just going lights out with that starting lineup is just really more sexy to me. And it's hard to see Royce O'Neal even being the 6th man, because I'm just kind of still low on him a little bit. You know what I mean? So if that were to happen, I'd be like, oh, wow, he actually did have a good second season with the Suns. So I would rather see that than Grayson Allen getting it.
Now, obviously, this is more in the context of being the 6th man with the Suns. I doubt either one of them will win 6th Man of the Year. But I would like if Royce O'Neal is our 6th man, and everybody's healthy. This is the scenario where everyone's healthy, okay? Because there's obviously the one thing is, well, Royce O'Neal's the 6th man because Grayson got hurt. So by default, he is. But if Royce is our 6th man, I think a lot of things have went right for Phoenix. I think it means that Grayson Allen is still doing a good job and contributing in the manner that he is. But because of the energy that Royce O'Neal brings off the bench, his defensive intensity, his 3-point shot, all of these things kind of come together perfectly to where when he comes in the game, we know we got our fuck shit up guy on both ends of the floor. And I would just like to see that. Like, Grayson Allen's still going to hit those threes in this scenario. I just think that, like, Grayson's expected. I want the unexpected, knowing that Grayson might still have the ability to contribute.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm thinking, Matthew.
I agree with that, man.
All right.
All right, you got one more? So would you rather Bud win Coach of the Year, or we have 3 All-Stars?
Oh, man, this is
a good one.
It's an easy one for me, though. Coach of the Year, because that means the team overall had success. And it would be success that is unexpected, because there's no one right now. If you go and you look at DraftKings, you look at FanDuel, no one's giving the Suns a chance on anything. Do you know what the Suns over-under is relative to win totals this year, Matthew?
Is it
if you were to
53?
guess. So it would be there'd be a half in there, 53.5. So that's your guess, 53.5.
Yeah.
It's 47.5.
I mean, it makes sense, though, I think, right?
Yes and no. Okay, so 2 years ago, it was 51.5. And we missed it by like 7 games. We finished with 45 wins. Last year, it was 51.5. And we're all like, bang the fucking over, man. And we ended with 49 wins. So the over-under is saying that the Suns are going to have a worse record than last year, even though last year, despite all of the discombobulation, despite all of the injuries, despite all of the attitude issues, the team still won 49 games. And now Vegas thinks they're going to be worse after getting a coach that's probably going to, we don't know yet, but he's probably going to be more effective with this team and this roster by acquiring 2 point guards, which directly affect our ability to not turn the ball over in the fourth quarter. Again, had we ended games after 3 quarters last year, we would have had 5 more wins. We would have had 54 wins and we would have hit that over. But because we had no identity in the fourth, we lost. So guys who could potentially assist in creating and fortifying that identity in the fourth. And a team that returns 9 players, a team that has continuity versus a team last year that had 4 returning players. They're expected to do less. Now, obviously, this is Vegas saying the Western Conference is tough, and we believe it's got tougher. Their over-under for their seeding right now is 6.5. So they're predicting kind of the Suns are going to win 47 games and be the 6th seed. And this is something we'll talk about later when we do our jammies. But with all that said, Coach Budenholzer isn't in the top 5 for potential Coach of the Year candidates. And I don't give a fuck about how many people go to the All-Star game anymore. And I know that when you and I, around that time of year, we get all hyped up for the All-Star game and we talk about it. And then whenever we do that show right afterwards, we're like, what the fuck was that again? Why were we excited for that piece of shit product? Whereas if we have a Coach of the Year, the team's been successful. Royce O'Neal's had a good year. Bol has developed a little bit. The team has overachieved from that 47 win mark to potentially 57 wins. And everybody's like, holy fucking shit, what's going on over there in Phoenix? Give Bud Coach of the Year.
Yeah, that's my answer too. And I think that even if we were to
all
have
of that,
yeah, all of it, absolutely all of it to the T. I think that Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, they have a chance to make the All-Star team. But what we want is kind of be able to take a back seat in a way, right? Coming off the bench, but still getting those great stats, and maybe he has a chance to be an All-Star off the bench. Who knows? But he'll succeed there. He won't make the All-Star game. So that's what we're kind of predicting. So that's just your 2 All-Stars. But also, like you said, no one does believe in this team. Everyone is bending them under. And it's just how crazy things flip-flop so fast because, last year it was championship, right? Now it's like the same team. We are older, but we did definitely get better. We definitely have a better coach. But that's what we're thinking. We're thinking that we have it all figured out again, but it could just
like
be the
first year.
Could be the first 2 weeks of the season, and we're like, God, we are actually old. Oh, fuck, Beal's hurt. Like, oh my God, here we go again. Like, we're counting on Grayson Allen to do this defensively. Yeah. Like, it can go down the same road. So I can kind of see that. I think we're excited because everyone is healthy now, and I think that we have a great squad, and we do have 3 potential All-Stars. But the Coach of the Year just means like, oh wow, look at the Suns. Like what he did to get that team through that. He was phenomenal.
Yeah, it wasn't 3 guys had a good year up until the All-Star break. It's one team had an amazing year, and we have to reward that success.
And I forgot about Bol, so you got me excited there.
Yeah, boom.
I forgot about
Bol's on the team. Well, one of the great moments last year at Suns Media Day was the Bol moment when he was kind of bashful and whatnot. And I missed that moment because that's when I finally got up to go take a piss. But Suns Media Day, it's coming to you 11:30 a.m. on Monday. How is this your second one, right, Matthew?
Yeah, second one.
How excited are you for Media Day on Monday?
I'm really excited. It came out of nowhere, right? It's already here. It's funny because like you kind of think like, oh, it's coming. I have a little bit of time before like the Suns take up my schedule and stuff. But now that it's here, though, I'm just like pumped. I'm super pumped. I'm ready to get in there. I'm ready to ask some questions. I have them all written down. I'm sure. I probably will not be asking any questions, and we will not be doing a pod from there this time because it was really shitty, like you said last year. But to go again just to know what to expect. I think that's the amazing part about all of this, is because the first time I'm just sitting there, just listening, watching, kind of in awe, because what the fuck am I doing there? Now it's just kind of like, we're there hanging out and you know what to expect. And I love that. I love seeing all the new faces, even though there's not very many, the rookies, Budenholzer in the beginning, what they're going to do for Al McCoy, probably media day.
Yeah,
so it's going to be a special, special day.
Yeah. It's kind of like the first day of school right now. Granted, it's been like 20 years since my last first day of school. In fact, was this the year? Maybe. No, maybe it isn't. Like, so 2005 is the last time I actually like went to school. And, I for those of you who don't know, I've got like 13 college credits to my name. I've got English 102, I passed. Graphic design, I passed. Funny how that's what I still kind of do. And golf twice.
And golf. Well, you still do both, right?
Yeah.
And the English, you do all three of them. So there you go.
Yeah.
That's all you need, kids. You just need the 13 credits designated towards three things in life.
That's literally all I've ever passed at
all you
Scottsdale
need.
Community College. And after that, it's like, fucking, I'm working. Even with the GI Bill and everything, I just never took full advantage of it. But I do remember the butterflies of day one. And what's fun about this coming back day two, or for year two for you, year three for me, in having media credentials on media day. This is the second year that you and I are both fully media credentialed for the entire season. So it's going back and seeing all those familiar faces from the media standpoint and the people you talk to throughout the season.
Yeah.
And seeing the Suns representatives from their communications team right up front. Suns Geek is going to be there. He actually got
what?
You didn't know this? Oh yeah, you're not on Twitter. Yeah, Suns Geek reached out to the Suns and asked if you do you know your Twitter account got hacked?
Did it? What happened?
I don't know. It's somebody who's not you, and it left our group chat. And then I looked at it, and I looked you up at Matthew Lissy. You're not there anymore.
Oh shit!
Yeah, you better get on that.
What's going on?
Don't follow Matthew Lissy on Twitter. He doesn't exist.
I was like, what's released, dude? There's some dick pics out there that I don't know.
I don't know what's going on. But you left our chat.
Okay.
But yeah, so Suns Geek reached out to the Suns, and they said you can come as an observer. So he's flying out here.
Hell yeah, dude! I haven't met him yet.
Oh, you
life.
have?
Not in real life, no.
Horse shit. He took your picture of your fucking Sarge jersey. That's how we met him.
Oh my god, we. But that was different. I barely remember that.
He was just a guy who was standing behind us while you and I were watching shoot around during the first game of the Suns season back in 2018. And he's just like, "Hey, can I take a picture of your jersey?" And you're like, "Yeah." And then he gave us his business card.
Oh, okay.
That was Suns Geek.
I totally forgot about that.
So
Sorry, Suns Geek.
So he's going to come out and he's going to experience me today, and I'm so excited for him to experience it. I'm so excited for us as a fan base to experience it. And as Matthew mentioned, last year we tried potting from the arena. Didn't really work out. We actually went home and then potted from home. We'll just be doing a Suns Media Day rewind that night right here on the Suns Jam Session podcast, and be covering it from all angles, from bright side of the sun, from the experiences, the quotes, the narratives that are going to come out of media day. It's all right around the corner. The season's about to begin. So, I mean, I'm excited. I PTO'd the day. I don't know about you, but
I requested the 4 hours, but I'm pretty sure I won't be logging back on after.
Oh, well, like normally media day was at like 9 in the morning. I think it was 10 in the morning last year. It's like 11:30. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to log in the morning, but I'm just taking a PTO day. So 3-day weekend. Let's go.
Let's go, dude.
So,
all right. I'll treat it that way too. Whatever you do, John, I'll do.
There you go. That's the way to do it. And John Tran. Yeah, he brings up a good point. You see Zach Lowe got fired?
Zach Lowe. I did. They were talking about Bill. Did you listen to Bill Simmons today?
Uh-huh.
I'm not surprised. You know what I mean?
ESPN has their heads.
Yeah.
I love Zach Lowe. He's a great listen. Great technical listen.
But Bill Simmons didn't mention anything about him joining the Ringer, which is probably something that's probably in transit.
That was my first
I'm pretty
thought.
Sure. Yeah.
The Ringer lost KOC.
What? Where's he at now?
Jesus Christ, you're so out of the loop. He's with Yahoo Sports, dude.
Oh my god.
It was like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, Kevin O'Connell.
What?
Kevin O'Connor left the Ringer, went to Yahoo Sports.
Anyways, yeah.
So my guess is like Zach Lowe's going to do some freelancing for the Ringer because they can afford him full time. But like the Low Post is probably going to, he's probably going to join the mismatch to replace KOC. Yeah. So
KOC was the best thing on the Ringer.
He was, and now, but Zach Lowe would be a great replacement for him because he too is a technical, sneakerhead. And I love the way that he looks and talks and thinks about basketball, and he adds value to that.
Damn.
So,
all right, I gotta get on Twitter, man.
Yeah, dude, you just don't
time to do it.
Yeah, and Woj is gone, right?
I do know that. We talked about it on the podcast. So yeah.
Okay. Matthew
That's how I
his,
know.
he gets his news from the podcast that we record together. Oh, right here, ladies and gents, right here. So a reminder, please subscribe and rate and review. A new season lies ahead. So the more subscriptions and more times you go on, give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It lets other people know who are getting excited for Suns basketball where the best place to come is. The best post game. How about this? I was thinking about this the other day. We're not the original post game podcast on Planet Orange. We're the original post game podcast on Planet Purple. Why did they never call it Planet Purple? Orange is gross.
I think purple's a little more gross. It's a sign of a sociopath. So, isn't it?
Yeah, but isn't Mr. Orange the one who's in prison?
Yeah.
Go home and love your family.